Hi friends, what's up? This is Deep Basu and I'm back and I'm going to review the film Dunki. I just watched it. It has released today. Very unlikely because most of the Bollywood films usually release on a Friday, but the makers decided to release a day prior. I don't know why. So I watched it, and like all of you, I was also really looking forward to watch this film. And by the way, it's the first collaboration of Sharukh Khan and Mr. Rajkumar Hirani sir. And I think Hirani sir is back after 5 long years. I think last movie he directed was Sanju. It was relatively well, though I didn't like it so much. So anyway, coming back to the review of Dunki, I say it? Well, I'm quite disappointed, and I didn't like the film so much. It was quite, I was quite bored, and I seriously had a lot of expectations from this film. Though I was not quite impressed by the trailer, but usually Mr. Hirani sir's trailers and teasers are not very impressive. The final output, the final product, the final film is, it's quite different from his trailers, and you often as an audience you're quite surprised and taken aback. But this time I'm seriously very disappointed by watching Dunki, though there are a lot of good reviews in the market. People are loving the film, but somewhat I was not emotionally moved. I didn't feel emotional. I didn't feel connected to the overall storyline, the overall plot, and even the single, though I'm a big fan of Shah Rukh Khan, I was not quite moved by his performance. I don't know why, yaar. I just didn't like the film. Somewhat I feel that this is definitely not Hirani sir's best work, but I think it's one of his weakest work. I always thought Sanju would have been his weakest work, but I think this is Hirani sir's weakest film, weakest work. See, Dunki, somewhat I felt the reason, I'll tell you, somewhat I felt the story, the overall, the purpose of the film was quite contradictory. On one hand, the filmmaker wants to say that the grass is always greener on the other side. You don't know, means people often feel, staying in Punjab or staying anywhere in India, they feel that going off to London, going off to a US, going off anywhere abroad, you'll definitely have better opportunities. Your life will shine, but that's not the case. Means grass might look greener on the other side, but that's not always true. You might see the opposite picture. Home is always home. So that's one. I think that's one of the purpose of the film. And on the other hand, they're talking about how immigrants, illegal immigrants, are treated and what they go through. So somewhat I felt I didn't quite understand the purpose of the film. What the filmmaker wanted to show is the grass is always greener on the other side. Whatever glitters is not gold, or the life of an illegal immigrant, if they, and why visas are not granted to them, because they don't know English. Because towards the end of the film it's very clearly stated that 150 years ago there was no visa required, but when visas, rules and regulations were implemented, people who lacked the education or the spoken language like English, they were not granted visa. But if you ask me now, if you go to London, if you go to America, English is very important and education is very important. So of course, you will not grant a visa to someone who is unpad, who is gawar, who is not educated, na. Because no point. If I allow you to go to London or America, you will be a sweeper. You will be a mechanic. You will not get proper jobs or proper income. So that's the reason government has made very a passport compulsion, a mandate, a visa mandate, and they look for proper education, spoken English, so that over there you can fend for yourself properly. So do I root for illegal immigrants and feel sorry for them? Of course you can feel sorry for them, but you can't say that passport should be granted. Why it's so difficult to grant passport? Because Vicky Kaushal, I think, stood out. Okay, coming to the performance, I'll rant later. Vicky Kaushal, I think, was the USP of the film, though he had a very small role. He had a guest appearance, a cameo. He played the character Sukhi. I think he was the best. He's an excellent actor. I think he was even better than Sharukh. But somewhat I felt, even Vicky Kaushal, the character said, "Arey, you don't speak our language. Did we tell you? These Britishers didn't speak our language. Arey, but Britishers ruled us. They can do whatever they want. We don't have the right. We were slaves. We don't have the right to tell them, you can't speak a language, how can you hear? They ruled us. So Vicky Kausal's character Suki is saying, अरे इसको तो भाषा नहीं आती, ये यहाँ क्या कर रहा है? अरे बाबा, visa is not granted to people who are not educated, who are illiterate, for their own good, isn't it? That's what I feel. Because if you go to a foreign country being illiterate or not having the required education, you will not get any job. No one will employ you. You will be a sweeper. You will be what not, isn't it? You will get some odd job. So if you're very well educated, you're comfortable with English, you might have a bright future. You might have some potential in a place like London, America, LA, or somewhere like that. So somewhat the purpose of the film was not very clear to me. If I'm wrong, please correct me, because I was thinking what's happening actually. And most of the sequences, though the movie has its moments, but the comic sequences were quite forced. Some sequences were so stupid, so silly. I wonder how Sharukh sir was convinced. I don't know, maybe it's because of the director. Certain sequences were so stupid, so unreal. Means I just couldn't relate to it. That way, I think Hirani sir's Three Idiots was his most accomplished work. It was at least real. Means even certain places, at least you could relate to it. You could relate to a character like Virus. But here, I just couldn't relate to any character or any sequences. I think everything was so unreal. And somewhat, I was not very convinced with this entire film. I'm so sorry. I'm really disappointed. And after waiting for so long as an audience on a weekday, cutting tickets, going and watching a film, coming back late, tomorrow I have work, I'm very disappointed, guys. And though I'm hearing a lot of good reviews, I don't know. And the songs also did not quite stand out. Otherwise, Hirani sir's film, the songs really stand out. Here, the songs did not stand out. So overall, I will not give out much spoiler, but somewhat I did not understand the purpose of the film. I was not moved. I had somewhat I couldn't connect. So towards the end, it's quite emotional. But for the first time, I didn't cry. I usually cry. It's not very difficult to make me cry. I did not cry a bit. And not even teary-eyed. So I'm so sorry. This might be a very explosive review. I did not like or enjoy Dunki. I think after two super hits, I think Sharukh sir is going to miss this one. It's not going to be a hat trick. Anyway, guys, good night. Watch it. If I'm going wrong, let me know. Maybe after all, creativity has its own different perceptions. Good night.